Hello, I'm John Rossi, a touring drummer with a love of all things animal. When I'm on the road, I visit as many zoos, aquariums... Hey, wait a minute. What's going on? Hey, what's going on there? Hello? Hello?
We interrupt your regularly scheduled program to bring you Rossifari Zoo news. News you can use from the world of zoos and conservation. Every week, we bring you breaking news and analysis from around the globe, featuring the animals you love and the people who care for them. And here's your anchorman, John Rossi.
Hi, hello, how are you? Welcome back to Rossifari Zoo News, your look at everything going on in the world of zoos, aquariums, conservation, and general animal weirdness. Now, normally, Zoo News is a crowd-sourced Zoo News program, and this is where I tell you that if you send me stories, you might hear them in the episode, and whether you hear them or not, I'll say your name at the end of the episode. And then I go on to remind you that the way that you can send me stories is by following me on socials and then tagging me in them at Rossifari on the socials, at Rossifari Pod on the TikTok machine, or you can email them to me, rossifaripod@gmail.com. And then, like I said, I'll maybe say some of your stories, and regardless, I'll say your name at the end of the episode, and it's all wonderful and everything is great, but this is not going to be that. Every once in a while, I like to do either a deep dive episode where we cover one story for the entire episode, or a mini deep dive episode where we dive into a couple of different stories and spend some time on those. And that's what today is going to be. Today is going to be one of our mini deep dive episodes. There are a couple of stories that a whole lot of y'all sent me and have already shared your thoughts on in some cases, which, as you know, I love when you do. So reach out and do that. And I feel like these things need to be looked at a little bit deeper. So we're going to do a couple of stories this week. Then we'll get to your animal holidays and to saying goodbye. But before we do all of that, I know that people like an update on me and what's going on in my life. So, this is coming out on Friday, August 8th. And that means it's been a few days since I finished my run of Hadestown Teen Edition at Gretna Theater. And it was a wonderful time, a wonderful experience, great music, great performance, great production, all of it. All of it was great. And I'm currently home for a hot minute for a couple of days, before I head down to Harrisburg for Miles's, birthday, actually. The 10th is his birthday. And I've got something pretty fun planned. So I'm not going to say what, because he listens to the podcast, but, it should be a good time. And so, happy early birthday to Miles. And then after that, I'll be back in Buffalo for a little bit before heading on a quick Northeast tour of my own show, which I still call Under the Sun. As most of you who listen know, it's gone through some name changes, but it will always be Under the Sun to me. And so we're playing in Connecticut and New York and Pennsylvania, and it's just like 4 dates, but it's going to be a nice little mini tour. And honestly, I'm pretty excited because two of the artists on the tour, it's going to be their first time with the show. And they're guys that I've worked with before and that I really like a lot. And so I am really excited to see what they bring to the show, because there's a lot of improvisation in it and a lot of kind of different approaches to the dialogue and the songs and all of that. And so it's going to be fun and exciting. And one of the things we're doing is playing Foxwoods Casino. And that is a big deal. That is a venue that to get your show into is a very big deal. So I'm excited to be taking my show there. Yeah. So that's pretty much everything going on in my world. Oh, actually, that's a lie. Let's talk about the podcast for a second. What's going on in the podcast world? So I've been thinking, and y'all, I think I might want to move the days of the week that the podcast releases. I'm not 100% sure yet, so we can talk about this. And I want to hear your thoughts, your responses. But so right now we do our interview episodes on Tuesday and our Zoo News episodes on Friday. And that works out pretty well, as it gives me the most amount of time between the two episodes, because I'm an insane person who puts out 2 episodes a week on my own, which is cuckoo banana pants to begin with. But then the thing about it is, so Tuesday is great. And I love doing Tuesday. But Friday for Zoo News is really challenging for me a lot of the times. So Thursdays when I'm home are often a day that I am at the aquarium. And if I'm not, it's also one of the days that Zoe and I can spend the whole day together. So I have to take chunks of that away to do Zoo News. And then when I am on the road, Thursdays are usually either the longest day of tech, if we're in rehearsal, or are a 2-show day, meaning that I end up doing 2 shows plus an episode in one day. And while my shows aren't exactly long, usually under 2 hours each, you have to get to the theater and prep and warm up and jam with friends and do sound checks sometimes and all the things. So it ends up turning into sometimes a 12 or 13 hour day for me. And that is rarely the case on most other weekdays. And so what I'm thinking about doing, and it is just a thought, but I'm thinking about moving the interview episodes to Monday and Zoo News to Thursday, because, the idea of doing like a Tuesday and Thursday, I don't know, that's just too close together for my own brain. And usually I end up doing a lot of Rossifari stuff on the socials and talking to people and interacting with people more when the episodes drop. So it's not like I can just drop it on Tuesday and then instantly start working on Zoo News. So I'm thinking Monday and Thursday might be a better release schedule for me, and honestly, just for my brain. Like, y'all, I can't tell you how often it's like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning and I am sitting down to start recording Zoo News on the Friday that it comes out. Sometimes later, honestly. And I'm usually pretty exhausted at that point. Like, we are not currently 8 minutes into this episode, and I have stopped it to yawn like 9 times. And I'm actually not that tired, but it's after 1:30 in the morning here for me. So so especially for those of you in the United States, because I know, like, I have a lot of Aussie listeners, and it's weird because of the time difference thing. But for those of you in the States especially, let me know your thoughts on this, and international friends, you're welcome to as well. And I want to get the vibe, and I may listen to y'all. I may not, because at some point it just becomes a mental health thing for myself. I love doing Zoo News, but every once in a while it's such a burden just because of the craziness of Thursdays. And I don't love when I don't want to do the thing, because one of the cool things about Rossifari is that I literally love all of this. Like, hearing some of the sadder, hard stories occasionally and stuff, I still love that I can be there to share them and to be a part of them for people and with people. So, I love all of it, except for occasionally wanting to pass out and go to sleep, but instead I have to record a Zoo News episode for a Friday release. Another option would be to just continue on Tuesdays and Fridays, but release Zoo News later in the day on Fridays sometimes, like wake up and do it. But I know a lot of y'all listen on your way to work. I've heard that from a lot of you. So I'm guessing that's not a great idea. But again, give me your thoughts, shoot me them, and let me know what you're thinking, and we'll figure it out. But for now, we'll stay Tuesdays and Fridays, at least until we make a decision. All right. So with all of that said, let's get to our mini deep dives, shall we? It is time for Zoo News, and our first mini deep dive is going to be about the Denmark Zoo thing. So, that's going to be the thing. And most of you probably know what I'm talking about because I literally don't think I've ever had a story sent to me by more people than this one. It's a big deal. It's a controversy. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, we'll get into it. But before we do, this actually ties in nicely to the headline story from last week. So last week, I talked to y'all about the fact that there was a zoo in Europe that decided to kill a bunch of baboons because they didn't have the room for them and they were unable to place them in any other facilities. And so they culled the herd. They had way too many animals. It was too many for their living space. It was causing problems. It was causing fights. It was causing bad welfare and unhappy and unhealthy animals. And since they couldn't move them out, and you can't just build a space overnight, even if they had the money, the decision was made to euthanize a bunch of them and to get back down to a fair number. And that led to a deeper discussion about the fact that Europe and the United States have a very different view of how to handle surplus populations of animals. And a big part of that is seen in the fact that European zoos allow animals to breed not completely willy-nilly, but kind of willy-nilly. And then if they have surplus stock or animals that aren't genetically important, they cull them. But that way the animals in the zoos get to go through the natural cycle of mating and giving birth and all of that stuff. And most animals, I should clarify, most animals don't react in a super negative way to losing their offspring. It's not like, a human might. And so it's not that kind of torture, but it's an interesting question, especially with apes, where there is that question. So because we know that apes mourn they're dead and stuff. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. And so I asked y'all last week to reach out to me and tell me what you thought about culling and if you agreed with the practice or if you didn't, but you get it, or if you think it's terrible. And the response to that was unsurprising. Most of y'all are absolutely disgusted by the idea. Now, a lot of you do say that you do understand it. You get the logic, but that it hurts your heart or it hurts your brain or whatever, and that especially in an era where we know we can do birth control and where zoos in the US are pretty successful with that and stuff, why would you bother going through all of that only to kill these animals? And one person in particular mentioned to me that it really bothered them, not because of the killing of baby animals thing, which, I get it, but because it goes against what we try to say that good zoos and aquariums are for, which is saving animals and conserving them. And there has to be a way. How do you say that you're saving a species if you're also killing members of it purposefully, which is different than euthanasia, where you're, ending pain and suffering, right? But killing healthy animals is the antithesis of conserving them. And I thought that was a really interesting take. And I get it, and I don't know. I really do see both sides of this argument. I will say that I'm glad that I live in the United States, where we are not pro-culling for that kind of thing. But also, I get it. I do. I think that mating is a big part of animal lives. We understand that a lot of animals are driven very heavily by their instincts to mate and all that jazz. And so, that argument is definitely one that I get. But boy, oh boy, y'all don't. Even the few people who said that they understand it but still don't like it, it seemed like the understanding part was more them saying they wish they understood it. That was kind of the impression that I got. So anyway, I talk about all of that because the view on just kind of what certain animal lives mean is a little different in, say, Europe and the United States. And so that is why this simple request from a zoo became a huge ordeal. So I'm talking about the Aalborg Zoo in Denmark. Most of the public uproar didn't even mention the name in headlines or anything. And the zoo wrote a social media post that roughly translated from Denmarkese, said that if you have an animal that for various reasons needs to be rehomed or needs to leave us, which I took as, was ending their lives either naturally or like would go to a vet to be euthanized, you are welcome to donate it to us. The animals are humanely euthanized by trained staff and then used as feed. In this way, nothing goes to waste, and we ensure natural behavior, proper nutrition, and well-being for our predators. The zoo said that private individuals and businesses could donate chickens, rabbits, and guinea pigs, which organizers said make up an important part of predators' diets. And shocker, y'all. Chickens, rabbits, and guinea pigs do make up the large part of a lot of predators' diets. And, so do, horses and deer. And it turns out that predators eat prey. Who knew? Okay, I'm being a little snarky here. But the truth is, that's not the worst ask in the world, right? If you're a farmer, let's say, and you have a bunch of chickens that are near the end of their lives and you kind of need to figure out what to do with them anyway, and you're not the type of farmer that uses them as meat chickens, then why not donate them to the zoo and let predators have at it? And it's cool. The zoo explained how they do this great, easy euthanasia that is painless to the animal in question and that also is safe for the predators to eat. And y'all, this has gotten global attention. People, USA Today, PETA, all kinds of groups, all things on social media, all things on real media. It was on Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. This is the, frankly, most across the aisle political thing that has happened ever. The Aalborg Zoo has united most of the world in its hatred for them. And the thing is, when you really stop and think about it, it's not a big deal. The public perception on this is terrible. Now, this is a zoo with a relatively small following. I don't think they have, I don't even think they're near, I think they're like 20-some thousand followers on Instagram. Like a third of what I pull in and way less than any major zoos. But they just, it went viral. It was a thing. When you put things on social media, you risk them blowing up, right? And so the first issue with this is that almost everything that I have seen did not say, hey, they want a few very specific animals, most of which, like chickens and stuff, we think about eating anyway. Guinea pigs, not so much, but like it's a thing. If you know anything about predators, you know that's a thing. But most of what the articles just said were the Denmark Zoo wants you to donate your pets to feed them to the predators. And y'all, I'm not going to lie. I would not like a zoo that is secretly asking for me to donate my dogs so that their lion can eat better. Right? It's not okay. But it's also not a thing. It's not a thing that happened. It's not a thing that was happening. It's not a thing that they're asking for. They do not want Garfield, your cute little cat there who hates Mondays, to get euthanized and get fed to a wolf. They just don't. They're asking for very specific things. They're asking businesses as well as independent people, but again, farmers, stuff like that, right? They're not coming for your pets. I promise. They're not knocking on the door for Fido. They're just not. But that's how people reacted. And when I say people reacted, I mean, holy crap, y'all. The entire world reacted. Not just the media, but when you go onto their social pages, all of their posts have hundreds or thousands of comments on them. And all of those comments are people complaining about this feed your pets to our animals program as they treat it. And it's not that, and people are dumb, and people only read headlines, and people look for excuses to get angry. So this whole thing really isn't that controversial in the real world, right? Vets have figured out how to euthanize animals in a way where they can still be eaten. It's done a lot. It's done at farms. It's done at zoos, I guess. It's done all over the place, right? It's a thing. It is absolutely a thing. Also, it's not like the people commenting are vegetarians. And again, while most of us are not wolfing down guinea pig sandwiches, we are eating chicken and the other animals that were suggested here. So, like, this is just the latest example of social media blowing something out of context and out of control, and then the real media running with the story because social media has made it a story, and it's all bullcrap. But here's the thing. The zoological industry needs to realize, I talk about this all the time on here and with people in the industry, we are in a global world now. Right? You never know what's going to happen with social media and with the internet and what's going to blow up. You know, it's actually kind of funny. 2 years ago, the most watched animal video on all of TikTok was me playing the drums with an elephant at Buttonwood Park Zoo, a tiny, tiny zoo in Massachusetts, one that I love. You know that, but not a famous zoo, not a big thing at all. And yet it was number one. You know what last year's most watched animal video on all of TikTok was? It was a dance video of Ari, one of our sea lions at Aquarium of Niagara. One of the smallest aquariums out there, especially, you know, before we opened our second building, which is lovely, but still small. But, 2 years in a row, Buttonwood Park Zoo and Aquarium of Niagara were the most watched animal videos in the world. And that's insane. Not the Cincinnati Zoo, which had the Fiona bump and has Rico and all those things. No, it was Buttonwood, and it was Aquarium of Niagara. And so you have to be aware that anything can take off at any time. So while I don't think that this Danish zoo did anything wrong with the suggestion and the policy and all of this, the fact that it blew up was something they should have been ready for and something they should have been aware of. And so far, all they've done was basically say, hey, y'all are being jerks, so we're not allowing commenting on this post anymore. So people have gone and commented on all their other posts because that's how trolls are going to troll. But in the year 2025, it is essential for zoos and anyone involved with zoos to truly pay attention, not just to what their, posts might do to affect their people and their animals and their fans, but literally not only the world, but the zoological industry at large. Because guess what? This has absolutely increased anti-zoo sentiment worldwide. You should read the comments. Actually, that's a lie. Stay the heck away from the comments sections. But it is every Karen and Bobby and Joe going in and saying, this just proves that zoos suck and this is why zoos shouldn't exist and zoos are coming for your pets. And it's the whole Democrats are coming for your guns thing. I'm still waiting for somebody to knock on my door and take away the guns I don't have. But yeah, it's been so bad for the zoological industry. And I really think that facilities need to start to think more about that kind of thing and the global thing. And it's funny because the keepers there and the people there and the European zookeepers and stuff in general are just like, what? This is just a thing. It's no different than culling. This is a thing that we do. It is a useful way to take care of animals and also say goodbye to animals who are in their end of life cycle. And yeah, absolute craziness. So that was the first story that I wanted to go through. And then I think we'll do one more quick mini deep dive. And this is also on a story that has brought a lot of controversy out and has a lot of the anti-zoo crowd licking their lips and saying, haha, this will help with recruiting. And that is the story of the octopus at the San Antonio Aquarium. So in case you haven't seen this, there is, according to the mother of the child that was attacked, an interactive, unsupervised, giant Pacific octopus habitat at the San Antonio Aquarium, and a child reached in and the octopus grabbed the child and got all suckery because that's what octopuses do. And the kid ended up with bruises all along his arms and such. So that is the story as told by the mother. Now, the aquarium did respond to the controversy, stating that this wasn't a touch tank and that the only way to get into the aquarium enough to reach down to have the octopus be able to grab the child would have been for the mother to lift the child and hold the child, whose name is Leo. I don't know why I keep saying the child. This isn't the Mandalorian. Over the wall. And there are photos and videos of the kid being attacked by the octopus, and the octopus is very high up out of the water and stuff, but those photos and videos all come after the octopus is suctioned onto the arm, and so obviously moving the child, all that stuff could cause that. So controversy, and the controversy just keeps swirling. Apparently no accident or incident report was filed after this happened. The whole thing's a mess. It's crazy. So again, this is a great example though of how stories just kind of run away with things. Like, I did a ton of research into this, and y'all, I can't actually tell you if it was a true touch tank or just an open top tank where the octopus lived. And that is a noticeable difference because, you're not supposed to reach in the habitats that aren't the touchy habitats. And while a good facility, we should be able to block people from reaching into things. We all know that's not the case all the time. We've all been to aquariums and been like, oh, we could reach our hand into this water or whatever. And, not with an octopus, hopefully, but yeah, you can't have an aquarium with a GPO that is in a touch tank. You just can't. They are very explory with their arms. So I actually do believe the aquarium on that part of it, that the this wasn't a touch tank, because I got to tell y'all, I've met multiple octopuses. They're some of the coolest animals I've ever met. They are so weird and so neat, but they are grabby and they are curious and they are sticky. And not only do they have these arms with these insanely strong suckers on them, but they also have really sharp beaks and they like to taste things. When I first met an octopus, and this has been true of every encounter I've had with one, the rule was if one or two arms are touching you, it's fine. If the third arm starts to grab you, you need to pull one of the arms off of you. Because it will start to pull you to the beak, not to hurt you, not to, whatever, bite your finger off, but just to taste and to see what's going on, to learn more about the arm that it suddenly has encountered. And those beaks are sharp. And like, if you had kids and stuff reaching into a touch tank, you would be losing fingers left and right. So I'm going with this was probably not a touch tank. And if it is, the aquarium needs to be shut down immediately. But we'll get to that anyway in a minute. So it's crazy to see the controversy about even the most basic facts when it comes to a story like this right now, though. It drives me flipping crazy that after a bunch of research and going to a bunch of legit websites and stuff, I still can't tell you whether this was an interactive touch tank or not with any degree of certainty other than what my own logical conclusion reaches. And on a side note, one of her big complaints is that it took multiple staff members to get the octopus off the child's arm, and they distracted it with ice toys and all these things. Yeah, that's how octopuses work. When I have had to pull an octopus's arm off of my arm, and God, that's a cool sentence to get to say, and I've done it multiple times. I remember the first time I had to do it, I was like, I can't get this off because like I didn't want to pull hard enough to hurt the octopus, obviously. And the aquarist in question literally just grabbed the arm, was like, it's like this, and just like pulled it back, and the octopus was completely fine. Though that's how that works. And yeah, it was fine, and it kept hanging out, and its colors were all very happy colors, like you could tell. It was good. It was hanging out. But and then I had to do it myself, and it's the same thing. Like I pulled so hard, and it left hickeys all up and down my arm. They faded quickly, but like it's suction of a really strong animal. So yeah, I cannot imagine an octopus in an actual touch tank. And the child, Leo, is small, so he couldn't reach in and just touch the octopus. I don't know, man. It's a lot. It seems like the story that is being told and being shared is not the full story. Now, I am going to say, though, that I'm also not thoroughly surprised by the fact that there is a controversy at the San Antonio Aquarium, because the San Antonio Aquarium is owned by the Covino family. It's currently owned by Christy Covino, who is the wife of the former owner, Eamon Covino. And why does Eamon no longer own it? Well, it turns out that Eamon is a convicted wildlife trafficker, and that he violated wildlife trafficking laws, and also owns the Austin Aquarium, which has been cited numerous times, owns the Houston Interactive Aquarium, which has been cited multiple times, and of course opened and ran many of the Sequest chain of aquariums that is now defunct. And if you don't know what's going on with that, you need to catch up on Zoo News, because we've had a lot of stories about that situation. But yeah, so of course, as often happens with these things, when he got in trouble and actually ended up in jail because of wildlife trafficking, the aquarium got a new owner, but it was his wife, right? Does this not sound like Natural Bridge, where it's the daughter who took over the facility? We've talked about that on here a lot recently, right? This is what happens, and I don't understand why the USDA allows it to happen. Now, I have had good and bad things to say about PETA over the years, but they have a document that blew my mind. It is a fact sheet about the Covino family, and it's probably font size 12, I'm guessing, and maybe 11 looking at it. And it's 2 columns on each page of just text. And all it is the the documentation of the violations that this family has had. Both Eamon and his brother Vince over the years, okay? And here's the thing, y'all. It's just short couple, like 1 paragraph descriptions for most. Some are a little bit longer than that. And the document is 29 pages long. 2 columns, 29 pages. Let that sink in. It's insane to know that from 2012 to 2024, the last thing on this document, there were enough citations and problems and complaints to fill 29 pages with these problems. And yet, the family still exists, owns some aquariums. Yeah, it's the thing. This is why I say that you don't need to be accredited to be a good facility, but that accreditation matters big time, because weirdly, the San Antonio Aquarium is not accredited by anything other than like the USDA and stuff, and just the very basic things to have animals in this country. And it is a flippin' disaster. So, yeah. So once you dig into that side of things, the controversy becomes more controversial. I could have said that better, but it's late. Anyway, and it's really eye-opening. And it's, why would you have a GPO in an open topped habitat? I cannot think of a single time that I have seen any relation of an octopus in an open top habitat. You can't do it. These are things that have suckers and bite and ink and all kinds of stuff. I don't care if it's a giant Pacific octopus, if it's a common octopus, if it's a cuttlefish, if it's a dwarf cuttlefish. You can't do it. I mean, heck, they're escape artists, like really good ones. A lot of aquariums have stories of giant Pacific octopuses escaping into the back area and stuff, and just getting, or you walk in and they're part way out and they're looking at you and you're looking at them and you're like, ugh. And yeah, so the fact that this is a facility that is owned by a family with so many problems and so many welfare questions and just so much stuff just adds so much fuel to the fire. And of course, it would be great if people would be like, oh, see, this is just one of those aquariums that is owned by people who suck at owning aquariums, and this has nothing to do with the zoological industry. End of discussion. Everything's fine. Life is great. Go AZA and ZAA facilities. Woo! But that's not how this gets interpreted. And again, all of the comments that you see everywhere are, this is why aquariums shouldn't exist. And the truth is, it is why bad aquariums shouldn't exist. It's why bad people shouldn't be allowed to keep exhibiting animals. If you are a convicted wildlife trafficker, how the hell are you allowed to have like a pet snail, much less multiple aquariums, even if they are in your wife's name or whatever? Come on. It's ridiculousness. But so yeah, it's such an interesting look at a story that, in an age where we have more information than any of us ever thought we would have at our fingertips, sometimes it's hard to actually find out the truth. And I find that so fascinating. We talk about being in a post-information age. And when I say we, I mean not me, but pundits on the interwebs a lot. And, I used to think that was stupid. I used to think, no, we have more information now than ever. The problem is that we have too many stupid people who don't know how to vet their information. But now it's kind of true. You can go and you can look and you can find 10 different stories that are all slightly different, even about a controversial topic like this. And yeah, I just don't know what to do with that. But my guess is that this aquarium did something pretty dumb, and the mother did something pretty dumb, and now zoos and aquariums around the country are hearing about it, and the controversy doesn't die because At the end of the day, bad people suck. And that's my official take on it.
Oh, animal holidays. Animal holidays. Hey!
All right, so there are your two little deep dives, and then that brings us to our animal holidays for the week. So it is August, which is Asian Elephant Awareness Month, National Catfish Month, National Parks Month, and August is for Antelope Month. Then for the individual days, on the 8th, we have International Cat Day and Moon Bear Day. On the 10th, we have World Lion Day and Action Indonesia Day. The 11th is World Krill Day. I hope all of you jellies out there are celebrating. The 12th is World Horola Day, World Elephant Day. The 13th is International Wolf Day and International Armadillo Day. The 14th is Golden Frog Day and World Lizard Day, which is a bit of a cheat because that means that the lizards, frogs are lizards, right? Is that how that works? Nah, I'm playing. Anyway, and those I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind. Those are your animal holidays for the week. No, but seriously, just in case anyone didn't get that was just me being silly because a lot of people say that frogs are not lizards. Don't ever tell anyone you learned otherwise on the Rossifari podcast. Okay, love you. All right, so there you have it. Too many deep dives. Hope you all enjoyed those. I will say that I the stories that were sent to me, there were many, and they look awesome, and many of them will make next week's or the next 2 weeks' episodes. So thank you for that. Also, thank you to my patrons, especially my Red Panda level patrons, Dr. Laura Shank, Dr. Stephen Williamson, Barbara Bennett, Jenny Owens, Melissa Reed, Carrie Kirkpatrick, John Lewis, who is also here for the stickers, and Kevin Williams. I'd also like to say thank you to everyone who contributed stories this week. Anya Keene, Colleen Linehan, Kim Cooley-Croninger, Carrie Kirkpatrick, Kevin Williams, Emily Rockbook, Anna McEachran, Lizard Dunleavy, Maddie Patz, Ken Tryon, Dr. Laura Shank, Ali Malensky, Kay Malensky, Dr. Natalie Taco, Amanda Berg, Sam Evans, Dr. Zoe Rossi, Jay Meredith, Ann Yoshioka, Barbara Bennett, Holly Page, Laura Mincy, and Daniel Cohen. Thank you all so much for contributing. And like I said, I'll get to your stories down the line. Or not. But don't worry, I've read them all and I appreciated them all. And hey, before we go, we'll be back on Tuesday with a brand new interview episode. Let me know what you think about maybe changing the schedule. And last but not least, don't forget, the words Newsy Credits backwards are Steiderkieswen. The Rossifari podcast is produced, hosted, and engineered by John Rossi. Editing and fact-checking by John and Dr. Zoe Rossi. Our theme song is Sevens by Nathan Burke, performed by Nathan and John. Interrupting John theme and additional voices by Taylor Isaac Gray. You can reach John directly on Instagram and Facebook at Rossifari or by email at rossifaripod@gmail.com. Rossifari is part of the Daydreamer Media Network. Now, stop listening to me and go visit a zoo. And so the controversy... Oh my gosh, you guys, this is what I'm talking about. So many yawns. Anyway, night.